The Republic Broadcasting Network.
You are listening to the Red Pill Hardcore Radio Show. House baby.
You are compelled to listen.
Oh no, don't start with it. See, you think of the devil's tongue and you think it's a joke, but it's real.
Compelled.
So here being handled like this.
You will listen. You will listen.
Yes. Will you just cut it out and talk normal?
You will listen to me.
Then you know what I'm
Every
talking
chance you get,
You are
every
thinking it's a
minute,
joke.
you will keep your radio. You will turn the volume up even higher.
It's a big joke, but you're tearing down the foundations of our nation.
The entire
Very
foundation
funny.
around
Very
our
funny.
ears.
Hello, this is Kristen D. Manners. We are with the Red Pill Hardcore Radio Show. Unfortunately, and I am taking over the Red Pill Hardcore Radio Show. On the line, I have Wilbur. And Wilbur, we are going to have to just wing this tonight. How are you tonight, Wilbur?
I'm doing good. It's nice here in Texas. The weather is fairly moderate. We're not dodging tornadoes right now, and everything's pretty good. How are you, Christian?
I'm doing absolutely fabulous. I'm not quite sure what's going on with B, but I think we can handle this. What do you think?
I think we got this going on, Christian. Let's get it.
Let's get it going on. How have you been? Tell me what's going on in your world.
I'm working on two cases right now. I'm working on one with a man that's being framed, basically, here in Bell County, Texas, for pedophilia. And my own granddaughter is being set up pretty good and everything, and I'm working on that. And we're turning out all kinds of articles on various other subjects and everything, and I'm open to all questions and anything you want to talk about, Christian. And by the way, it's good to see you again. I was on TV with you it's been 4 months ago. And it was wonderful. Thank you.
I do remember that. And, just last night, V was talking about, a very similar situation. Why don't you tell us what's happening with that? One of the things that we were talking about last night was, people have got to be aware of these particular situations happening. So many people are unaware that these things are going on, and that's what this show is all about, is to kind of open the eyes of individuals and make them aware that these kinds of things are happening. Why don't you tell us what's happening with that?
Well, there's two things, and one is a guy named Justin, who was the stepfather of two teenage girls who are basically wild, and he forbade one of them, the oldest one, for going out and staying after hours. And the very next day, surprise, surprise, she called the cops and said he was molesting her. And now he's under a $375,000 bail with no forensics, no proof or anything like that. And he's fighting for his freedom. So we're working on that. But the other thing is my granddaughter is in a residential treatment center where she came upon a problem up in Utah and ended up in a situation which I can't discuss on the air because it's still under investigation. But the thing I'd like to point out is when we talk about targeted individuals, people think that usually it's some huge government organization or some corporation or something. You can be targeted by one person. You can be targeted by somebody who just decides they don't like you. Anytime someone
absolutely
interferes with your life, and they come in there and they try to distract you or distract your life, you are indeed targeted. Ted now was targeted in Utah during an investigation of the child sex trafficking last year by law enforcement, the Attorney General, and even the Mormon Church. Everything. We won, but we understood exactly what targeting was. And I want people out listening to us, you don't have to be targeted by some huge corporate or government enterprise. You can be targeted by a sister-in-law who doesn't like you and who calls the CPS nonstop, and you're fighting for your children all the time. And this is just as catastrophic to your family, to your mental health, everything. Everyone wants to live their life in peace, and go on about their business. And when someone comes in there and you're having to constantly fight off these accusations or all these things, you're just as targeted as Snowden over in Russia. If your life is interrupted and people, Ted is a psychologist and he's busy with a patient right now. That's why he's not here. When you are targeted, when you are pinpointed by someone or organization, it brings out the worst of you. You begin to be paranoid. You begin to be afraid. You begin to wonder what it's all about. It doesn't mean you're
exactly
crazy.
Right.
It just means that you have been pinpointed. You have been targeted. And that's what we're fighting here. And that's what Ted and I, when I got with Z and they wanted me to start working with this program, and he thought I was going to narrow the scope. We're not going to narrow the scope. We're going to enlarge the scope and let people know if you feel that something is wrong in your life and someone else is causing it over and over and over again. We had 5 different individuals calling the CPS on us constantly. And it was only...
And one of the things, and I'm so glad... I don't mean to interject here, Wilbur, but one of the things I'm so glad that you've mentioned here is that so many people do think in every single situation that it has to be some sort of government entity, and you are exactly right, it does not. I don't know if you listened to the show last night, but in my particular case, my targeting was because of a major transvaginal mesh case, a group of lawyers that I have been on my case since 2013. So I'm so glad that you have brought this up because it is such a valid point. So I thank you, Wilbur, so much for bringing this to the forefront because so many times we hear, it's just a government entity, and that is so much not the case. The court system has a lot to do with this. In many cases.
They use that on targeted individuals because, frankly, and I've heard this, and we've investigated this, where someone will say, you're not important enough to be targeted by the government. And this, in some cases, is true. But the thing is, if you have an angry family member and they use the CPS or the cops or anybody as a hammer to try to interrupt your life, you're just as targeted as if Donald Trump was mad at you. You're just as targeted. You're not crazy.
Absolutely.
You're not crazy. My grandchildren in Utah have just now got to the point where they will answer the door. Because before now, the doorbell ringing meant that somebody was at the door intending to do them some kind of harm, take them away from their family, disrupt this, disrupt that. They were 7 years old to 10 years old, 4 boys, and they were targeted individuals. They knew.
Yeah.
They knew. You don't trust anybody. You don't talk to anybody. If you get in trouble, you don't go. See, when I grew up in Louisiana, we were taught, if you get in a problem, you run to a police officer. He is your friend. He will help you.
Oh, my
these
goodness,
boys,
yes.
And my little granddaughter, Puck, she says something all the time. You don't tell the man nothing. You don't tell a man nothing. The government is the enemy. The police are the enemy. That's not the way this country is supposed to be. That is not the way it's supposed to be. Children are supposed to be innocent. They're supposed to think, well, the police officer is my friend, and we don't have that. And I see these people all the time, and Christian, they're run crazy. They might start out normal. They might start out, well, this doesn't bother me. This doesn't bother me. And then they notice there's more white vans going down their street than normal, or they notice that they're being followed, or this or that, and they are targeted. And it doesn't have to be. Ted and I have investigated this with naval intelligence and everything else. It doesn't have to be death rays from a drone or anything. It can be observation, where you look up and you're always being watched. That's all it takes. Always being watched. You know your every move, your every phone call. When you get a phone call and it just hangs up, when you send your kids to school and someone questions them, and you are targeted. See, that's what we're going to expand this to. You are targeted. And my sympathy goes with people who, they're not as astute as Ted and I. They're not as astute. We went to Utah last year, and we got into the child sex trafficking thing in Lindsay Park in Brigham City, and they were picking up little girls by the six-pack. I mean, it was bad. It was bad. And we couldn't get any cooperation at all. Nothing. And finally, I just embarrassed the Attorney General enough. They dropped the charges on us, and then he turned around and tried to say, well, there's nothing else going on. Yes, there is. Yes, there is. This is going on. Christian, they would drive through the neighborhoods, and they would look at lawns. They would look at tricycles in the lawns, all that, and they would stop at nearby relatives, neighbors, and they would say, what about those people over here at 123 Main Street? Well, we don't like them. They're not temple worthy and all this stuff. Well, that is a reason to believe. And they would go, and they would begin to target these people. They would start a case file, and they would target these innocent people who aren't doing anything. So all of you people out there listening, just because you're not being looked at by the FBI, CIA, Homeland Security, NSA, just because you aren't to that level doesn't mean you're not targeted. You can be targeted by your own family for any reason, and you're just as targeted. The mental stress is just as bad, and it will have the same effects on your family as if you pissed off Donald Trump. Your thoughts, Christian?
Absolutely. You know, and I know that in my particular situation, my own child was involved initially in the initial police misconduct issue at my residence, which absolutely broke my heart. But this was my own child, and the direct connect between that particular situation when that happened and the whole flow of my entire situation since 2015, and now the direct connect between my grandchildren and her boyfriend, it all flows together through the court system, and they play a big, huge, major part in this targeting that you're speaking of. So this is such an important topic that we're bringing up tonight, and they are relentless. They are completely relentless. They do not give up on you. They just keep pounding and pounding and hounding and pounding at your life through hacking and through, multiple entities in order to get you not to speak of these things. That's what people need to understand as well.
Exactly. They will tell you, you can't talk about the case. You can't talk to your children about it. You can't do this. You can't. And people, Christian, people don't understand. And here's what's happened. I'm going to use CPS as an example. When the white van shows up and they start taking kids out of the house, the neighbors, we're Americans, and we think, well, if you don't break the law and you're a good American and you pay your taxes, everything will be okay. So when the white van shows up, excuse me, the neighbors think, what did they do? What did they do? How did they bring this upon themselves? How did they? And they immediately back away. Well, they must have done something because there's the government. But it's not like that at all. It's not like that at all. It just depends on how adoptable the children are. It depends on what they have, everything, and they just hound in, and they hound in, and they hound in. And like, I did a thing called Trial Before Family Court. I did an article years ago, and it explained a Saturday night party, a football party, and everybody's on the porch, and everybody's drinking beer and eating and everything, and getting a little rowdy and arguing about the game and everything. And the next day, the CPS shows up. Okay, the next day the CPS shows up, and when it does, then
Wilbur, we're going to have to take a break really quick. When we come back, you can finish your story. Just a short break.
No problem. All right.
All right, thank you.
Folks, we're living in a world the likes of which we've never perceived any clearer than we do now. The plan for global governance has been in the works for generations and would have likely been achieved by now but for the fact that the globalists left open their Achilles heel. With all their tools, Federal Reserve System, fiat currency, no child left behind, and then Common Core education introduced to our schools to dumb us down, vaccines, pharmaceuticals to lobotomize us, GMO foods, insertion of compromised or bought and paid for politicians, judges, mainstream media propaganda, all pieced together like a puzzle designed to ultimately bring the world under submission. But with all their strategy, they forgot one thing: knowledge. And knowledge is power. With knowledge, their bombardment is nullified. Folks, with that, as brilliant and knowledgeable as you've become, among the wisest audience of any radio audience in the world, and you are, I want you to take a moment to reflect and ask yourself, how much of that knowledge did I obtain from Republic Broadcasting Network? How high has my consciousness been raised since I've been a listener? How fast am I now able to discriminate truth from fake news by being a Republic Broadcasting listener? How clear am I now able to see the world since I've been listening to RBN? Ask yourselves those questions, folks. Then ask yourself, what is that knowledge worth to me? Like my morning coffee, how would I survive without it? A voice of truth in a sea of lies. Do we not all need to make sure it survives? Like public broadcasting, we are now finding we can only survive with listener support. Censorship, advertisers being attacked, truth itself being attacked. It's the only way through this. We at Republic Broadcasting humbly ask you to become a supporter. Look at your budget and make a determination of what Republic Broadcasting is worth to you and what you can afford on a monthly basis. Go to republicbroadcasting.org and pledge $20, $30, $40, $50, if possible, $100 a month or more if it's affordable. Click the donate button and become a regular monthly donor. Assure both us and yourself that Republic Broadcasting truth will continue to flow like that morning coffee. The network thanks you.
Many people tell us about their experience with Extendivite. Just listen to what Glenn has to say.
Prior to taking it, I had diabetic neuropathy. The Extendivite reduced that significantly. Acid reflux was reduced. I had athlete's foot, very severe. Trimmed that down to about 75%. Dandruff, almost completely gone. I had occipital neuralgia at the base of my skull. I was having migraines, reduced by about 90%. Heart palpitations, my heart would kind of stall out. I would skip a beat. Very uncomfortable. And when walking from downstairs going to sleep, by the time I got to the bedroom, which is just one flight of stairs, my heart was pounding, coming out of my chest. My vision was blurry. This completely solved that problem. Great product. Thanks.
Tell us your story. Get Extendivite today. Call 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendivite.
You're listening to the Red Pill Hardcore Radio Show. How's it, baby? Keep it real. Take the red pill.
You drive a hard bargain.
Hello, everybody. Hello, everyone. You're listening to the Red Pill Hardcore Radio Show. I'm Kristen D. Manners. I'm sitting in for V tonight, and we are talking about a very important subject. We were listening to Wilbur. Wilbur, are you still there?
Yes, ma'am, I certainly am.
Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry to have interrupted you. We just had to
Well,
take a short
that's
break.
okay. You got to do commercials. I understand. Well, let me skip a beat here. When we were attacked by the CPS, we weren't living in a trailer park. We were in the entertainment industry. My daughter-in-law, Jackie, was Jackie with YouTube. We had one house that looked like Elvis's house. We had another one that looked like a Roman villa. And we had another one right across the street that was a normal house, but it was quite large. And we were well off. We were into real estate. We were into publications. We were into everything. We kept money in shoeboxes. I mean, it was that bad. And they showed up, and they were trying to see if we were capable of supporting the grandchildren. And my daughter-in-law, Jackie, she was not very tactful, to be honest, and she didn't understand what is in your mind. What is in your mind, you know? And they attacked her, and they attacked her, and they attacked her, and they attacked her. She spent close to $2 million trying to defend her children. And we finally I had divorced my wife of 35 years. Jackie had to move back to California. and had my wife adopt the children to get them out of the grasp of the CPS. And they targeted, until last year, they targeted us the entire time. The entire time. We had lawyers, we had money, we had audacity, we were smart, we weren't paranoid. So I can understand when you get some lady who's a single mom and some ex-sister-in-law calls in on her and says she's not cooking dinners on time, or there's dirty dishes in the sink, or whatever. Yeah. She doesn't know how to fight. She doesn't know how to fight. You know, we couldn't fight. We tried.
Well, one thing I want to ask you is, how old are these children now, Wilbur? How old are the children now?
Puck, my granddaughter, is 12. Her next oldest brother is 11. The twins are
Now, how
10.
has this affected the kids?
First, it affected them real bad. They were paranoid. They were, and this is what I want the audience to understand. Excuse me. They were targeted individuals. And I use that term loosely, but they were targeted individuals. They had places in the house to run and hide when the doorbell rang. This is the truth. They were afraid of the police. They were afraid of any authority. They were afraid of the teachers. They were afraid of everything. They were afraid of everything because they knew that one small misstep, one small mistake, and they would lose their family. Now, they had the perfect life. They had the perfect, even in Utah, they live right now in a 6,000 square foot house on the side of a mountain that looks like a ski lodge. And until last year, these people wouldn't let up. We need to check what they're eating. We need to check this. They were looking for anything they could find. They were targeting everybody in the family.
Now, Wilbur, that is precisely why I just got done asking you that question, because the smallest and most innocent victims of this situation, the targeting, is always the kids. Always.
Right.
Nobody ever thinks about what it does to the kids. They're always in the mix. They're always the ones that are affected, and nobody ever sees that aspect of it. They are the victims of this always, and nobody ever thinks about how badly the kids are affected in this needless situation.
They do not.
They don't.
They do not think about it. They do not think about what the children think. And we tried the traditional route. We tried to tell them, you need to trust the police. You need to trust them. Be honest, you know. But the kids figured it out. The kids figured it. They knew there's something wrong here. There's nothing wrong in the house. There's nothing wrong with my life. There's nothing wrong with my little dog. There's nothing wrong. Why are these people doing this? You know, and they were asking the questions. When we finally, and this is almost humorous, it really is, and I'm going to tell a story. They brought us to court to take the kids away. And they had, in Utah, anyone can file a petition. Anybody. And they had a petition, 9 pages of petitions against my wife and him. And we went up there, and I met with the Attorney General in the lobby. And I said, I am going to read this petition into the record. And she said, well, that's okay. I said, have you read the petition? Well, my staff did, and I signed off. Have you read the petition? Well, not myself, no. And I read just the last paragraph. Said, and I quote, I, Alex Bourne, being duly sworn employee of the state of Utah, do accept this petition as being totally true. Even the parts that aren't true, which I accept to be true also. And I looked at her, and I knew they were all Mormons, right? We're
going to have to go to another short break here, Wilbur. I'm sorry to interrupt you. We're going to have to go to another break.
No problem.
And when we come back, you can finish your thought. Thank you.
No problem, baby.
Hello, everybody. You're listening to the Red Pill Hardcore Radio Show, and I thank you for joining us. We have Wilbur with us tonight. And we're going to be, Wilbur, you still there with us?
Yes, I am.
Okay. We have some callers calling in, and we have Sean from Canada on just ready to chime in here. Sean, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Thank you for calling into the Red Pill Hardcore. How are you tonight?
Oh, pretty good, thanks.
You have a comment, or I'm doing fine, and thank you so much for joining us tonight. What do you have to say tonight?
I don't know. I just thought I'd call and see what was up with this stuff, basically. But I'm targeted with a I'm not sure exactly what kind of machine or something, but I have all the voices and the V2K and whatever going on, and they just get out of hand sometimes and all they want to do is play mind games, obviously, and ruin my life and stuff. But I just thought I'd give a call and see what's going on and listen to see if there's anything interesting or anything I can do or whatever. But
well, we really do appreciate that, Sean, because so many people, across the country, like we were talking about, go through this, and it's so difficult for people to get support when it comes to this. They try to talk to somebody. They try to get people to listen, and so many of the times, like Wilbur and I were discussing, they are put off, and they don't get the necessary assistance that they need. And that is one of the things that we are trying so desperately to get corrected, is when a targeted individual comes forward and they say, hey, look, these things are happening. We're trying to provide those outlets for individuals to get the assistance that they need, because so many times, I don't know what's going on in your particular situation. So many times it's just brushed off. How many years has this been happening for you, Sean?
Well, we can go through my situation fairly quickly. It's fairly basic, but this has been happening to me for about 20 to 25 years. On and off, my V2K comes on and off, but mainly you look back and you can see that basically a guy got me started on crystal meth 25 years ago. I've been clean now for 13 years, or not 25 years. He got me started on crystal meth 19 years ago, and I've been clean now for 13 years. Of course, he got me stuck on that because he was going to do this V2K later, and I go to the hospital, and of course they tell me it's because of the drugs that I have schizophrenia. Yeah. So he had all that planned out. But then in the meantime, he had an ex-girlfriend, I thought was his ex-girlfriend and his son, come live with me and stuff. I take care of them, and I'm in a condo, and I'm on the third floor, and he was staying on the second floor. So when I was going to work, he was prostituting out and making videos and stuff, putting on the dark web and stuff in my house, and I didn't figure this out until the end of the relationship, of course. And then he turned everything around on me, so I couldn't speak to the kid or her again or get any understanding and everything. I was basically, he put the V2K on. I went nuts. I didn't go nuts, but I got paranoid. He made me think that everybody was against me. I was singled out. I didn't talk to any of my good friends for years, like 6, 7 years. I was just scared for like 6 years. He had me freaked right out. And then finally this is just a quick rundown. Of course, I could go into more, but and then of course 8 years later, after the relationship, after I get cleaned up and everything, my mom passed away from cancer. 4 months later, my ex-girlfriend shows up, and 5 years later, I find out she's involved in it too. And like he does it really weird. He rapes these chicks like 5 or 6 guys a day. Totally humiliates them, blackmails them with videos and stuff, so they can't talk. And then of course he just gets them deeper and deeper and deeper into his sex cult that he has.
This is very interesting, because these are some of the exact things that Wilbur was just discussing. Wilbur,
let me interject something here. Can I interject something?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. This gentleman here is a prime example of what I was saying at the beginning of the broadcast. Is people imagine when they hit with V2K or whatever that they're a target of the government, and what he just said toward the end there about an individual in the family that was involved in this, that he didn't know was involved. You can be targeted by anyone using any means as long as it interrupts your life, and you're not crazy. Yep. You're not crazy. when you realize, and it doesn't matter if you're not a CIA operative. You don't know what's going on. So but you know that something is interrupting your life, and something is coming in there and it's making you have to be aware that your every move is being watched. It can be an irritated sister-in-law. It can be anybody, as long as they. And here's the thing, Mister. I don't remember your name, but here's the thing. It doesn't cost them anything to ruin your life. It's fun for them. It's fun for them.
Yeah. I understand all this. Yes.
Yeah. And like my daughter-in-law Jackie, what I was talking about before we went to break. My daughter-in-law Jackie had money up both ears. We lived in a protected community. We had money. We were in movies. Everything. She didn't take them seriously. She laughed at these people. But they made her paranoid. They wanted to look at her 2 years of her income tax. And she wasn't going to show it to them. She wasn't going to show her income. And they took off after her like a wild dog. She had lawyers. She had money. She ate at the country club every day. So when I hear someone like this gentleman here, my heart goes out to him. My heart goes out to him because what defense does he have? What defense does he have when we couldn't beat these people? Well, we eventually did beat, but it cost us literally thousands of dollars to beat these people, and it can be, like I said, an irritated family member. It could be one cop. It can be a one person in the CPS. It doesn't have to be huge drones above your house or V2K. It doesn't have to be that. Anyone who interrupts your life, who goes in there and interrupts your life, and especially Christians, when they grab for your children, your family, it's heart-rending. It's heart-rending. But your children, it's horrible. So yes, my heart goes out to this gentleman, and that's what I'm here for. It's when we take off after these people and we butcher them up real good, and everybody says, "Oh my God, you're so bad." No, we're not bad. No, we're not. They have this coming. They have this,
and that's why I invite you to the show. Hey guys, and see, this is the thing about live shows. This is the thing about live shows. If you have a power outage, there's nothing you can do about it. So the good old infrastructure of the Polish power grid is not as reliable as that of, let's say, Germany or the U.S. So
I know I have riders in Russia. Go ahead.
So I'm glad.
It's good to hear your voice. Good to hear your voice.
Yeah, nice to hear from you, V.
Yes. Thank you. I'm glad my co-host has definitely took over the show. And Bill, it was amazing to actually have you on. You're such an amazing personality. We can't wait to have you take over our TV show, Targeted. Have you guys been talking about that?
Absolutely.
No, we haven't got there yet.
And what I've been talking to to Christian about, what I've been talking to her about, we're not narrowing the scope of Targeted. We're expanding it. We are expanding.
Yes,
we're letting people know, look, you're not crazy. You're not crazy, and we will tell you how these people are doing this, and we will tell you what we do about it, and we will tell you the psychological implications, and then we'll go after them, and it's not going to be nice.
Well,
absolutely.
That's
what I like to hear.
I so appreciate you calling in tonight and telling your story, because it's so important for this information to get out and for other people to share their experiences. I thank you so much for calling in.
Oh, you're welcome. I talked to V about last week for about an hour and a half, and we had a good shot. So
is that Sean?
Yes, it is, sir.
How you doing, brother?
Yeah, how you doing, bro?
I'm doing great.
I'm leaving for Arizona in the morning to get some more tattoo work done, but I thought I'd call in tonight and say hello.
Well, thank you for doing that. I really appreciate that.
No problem.
Sean,
about the show already, huh?
Sean, I want you to stay in touch with us. I want you to stay in touch with us because we last year in Utah, when we fought the child sex trafficking, we were telling them what was going on, and these dummies didn't listen until they found the skulls in the desert. We had to literally say, "Look, here they are, dead little girls, and you did this." You know. And so I believe in you, Sean. I believe in you, man.
Yeah, I was talking to V, and I'm going to be doing an interview with you guys on Target, I believe, sometime in the near future. So that's going to be fantastic for me. I can't wait to get that out, and because there's people that have been turned on me that I would love to watch that interview and learn something about what's going on with their families and their daughters and stuff. So it's going to be a big thing for me, that interview. So
absolutely. And just for people's understanding, in case people are confused, with my TV network, Truthtainment TV network, we have several different shows that are pre-recorded, and a show called Targeted is one of them. Kristen and I were the host of that show, but we are no longer doing that show. Quite frankly, we are. I feel as though I have pounded the subject of targeted individuals quite enough. I don't think there's too much new I can offer. I mean, there's my documentaries that tells the entire story, but I want to just turn it over to somebody else and see if we can get other people knowledgeable and trained in this, because it's not just the point of view of one person and the knowledge of the technology. You know, other people have to do their research. Other people have to find out information because, hey, you know, I could have missed something somewhere. Something could have fell between the cracks, and you know, it's a group effort. We all got to be researchers. We all got to get involved in this, and so we're moving on. We're leaving the show Targeted to Bill and Ted, or if he wants to co-host, that's fine. And we're moving on with Ken was cooking with Chrissy D, which we'll be talking about here in the future.
We are going to bring in, I talked to someone in North Carolina today, and she told me, said, why don't, when you do these shows, you bring in each week another member of the Butcher Shop, which is my company, and let them chime in. And we have some heavy hitters. We have George Rodriguez, who is a special advisor to Ronald Reagan and George Bush. We have C.J. Grisham, who got our gun rights back to Texas. We have my publisher, Crystal Lee Larimore, who is a big patriot and a big believer in family rights. And these people are going to hit these people that are targeting these people hard. I mean, hard. Because, I mean, we got lots of people who are going to jump in here, and we don't play. We don't play. They came after us with the Danites in Utah. Danites are the avenging angels. They're the ones that come to shoot you if you interrupt what they're doing. And we took them on, and we won. Now, you want to talk about targeted individuals. Ted and I were in a basement in Utah hiding from these people and going to court all the time. So, yes, Sean, I understand where you're coming from. I do understand. I'm just a Texan, and I don't like. I think the word is, homie, don't play that. Homie, don't play that. I don't play that. You know, I don't like that. I don't like people. And when these people that are targeted, that are preyed upon, that are hurt and everything, and then they start worrying about this and that and R2, because they've been beat up they've been beat up, and nobody stands with them. Well, we'll stand with you. We'll stand with you. And we'll stand with you in a heartbeat. In a heartbeat. We're not afraid of anybody. We're Ted and I and everybody in the Butcher Show. We're not afraid of any of these people. I did something years ago when I went to a CPS meeting over my grandchildren, and the lady had a folder of all my information in it, and I slid a folder across the table at her, and she said, "What's that?" And she opened it up, and I had her name, her address, her employment, her children's names, where they went to school, how much they weighed, everything. And I looked at her and I said, "Just play them by the rules you set, baby. Just play them by the rules you set. You want to target me? Well, it goes two ways. It goes two ways. We don't play." So, Sean, yes, I do understand what you're going through.
Thank you.
Well, yeah,
thank
absolutely.
You for the support,
and that's what I love about this thing. People get so lost in all the stuff, especially the CPS stuff, because, there are rules to this thing, and people don't know them. None of these things are expressed. Ignorance of the law is no excuse. Well, that's a load. Not everybody can know the law, but there are some people who are knowledgeable, and then those who aren't get the jerk around. I always tell everyone, keep your documentation. Keep your documentation. And that's the most important thing, especially when you're dealing with CPS. That's the number one thing that will be heard by me on this show or any show, is for people to keep their documentation. Documentation is your best friend. So, Bill. So, I didn't know about some of the. All right. And so, we are back with the finishing segment here. And my clocks are off. Everything's flashing. I couldn't keep up with the time. I hadn't reset anything. But I definitely am very glad that we had Bill the Butcher show up here tonight. And I want to know, how can people reach you? Because you've been for a very long time. You're on Facebook, right?
Yes, so you can. I'm Billy White on Facebook, but you can email me at wilburlikethepig@yahoo.com. And I'm always there, and we're always ready to give answers. It's Wilbur, W-I-L-B-U-R, like the pig, @yahoo.com, and I will answer any questions. Ted is a retired psychologist, and that's what I was trying to explain, like to Sean. One thing they hit our people with, well, you're crazy. You're crazy. No, you're not crazy. Jackie was a millionaire. She was a very successful YouTube star, and they beat her to the ground. And when I meet people like Sean, my heart goes out because they didn't have the power we had. They didn't have Cochran and Associates. They didn't have many properties. They don't have that. And they're just beat up because someone wants to buy their children and sell their children away. The same thing, and it can be anyone that does this. Family members will destroy you just because it's fun to do it. You need to understand that. And we are working on this. Ted is working on, he's actually writing a paper for the psychiatric manual concerning targeted individuals and what makes this happen and what makes these people behave the way they do. You're not crazy. You're not crazy. Okay?
And that is the actual reason why I wanted to have you and Ted take over our show, Targeted, because we need the psychology area. It needs to be revamped. It's a pseudoscience as is. Really, we need neuroscientists to wake up and turn over to the good side. But, with Ted being a retired psychotherapist, this perfect guy to lead the charge here, because I know he started studying my material and he started having some bad health problems. Is he going to recover? Is he okay?
Well, yeah, he's doing better. That's why he's not here tonight. Is he has a hard time staying up really late. because of his heart problem. But he's still on board. He's still studying. He's still doing everything he does. And he is figuring out what makes a targeted individual. Why? My daughter-in-law, I keep bringing her up, my daughter-in-law Jackie, she was a targeted individual. Now, she did not react like Sean because she was rich. She was rich. She had money to burn. But she was still
now that is a subject that I want to talk about on an episode entirely, just all by itself. That is something that needs to be plucked apart, and we will have the opportunity to do that. But I have to close out the show. We're out of time. So,
it's been wonderful. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you all for tuning in to another episode of the Red Pill Hardcore Radio Show. Catch us Monday. Have a great weekend, guys.
Bye-bye.